This is the TexAgs Rewind presented by Specs. And today on the Rewind, we had the Go Hour with Olin, John Pugliese, the Baseball Bunch, and Billy Liucci. Check it out.
We're here. Big weekend because not only is it the Final Four, but what is it, the National Coaches Convention, that they're all there. Trev should be there, chatting away. Maybe a brand new candidate emerges. Maybe some of the names we've heard. I'm getting antsy. And maybe I shouldn't be getting antsy. You and I just had a full discussion before. We did a whole show before the show. I'm getting a little antsy. Faith, hope, all that stuff. I believe. It's not that I don't believe. It's not that I do believe. I like resolution. Mm-hmm. I also don't think it's a good idea to rush into things if your first plan doesn't work. So whatever their strategy is, as long as they get the right guy, and we won't know if it's the right guy for a few years, right? But I am getting antsy, like, where are we with things?
I think we'll know who our basketball coach is probably early next week. Today's Friday. Yeah. Tuesday or Wednesday.
So a week after.
Yeah. To me, that doesn't sound that alarming. Sure. Especially if you want to. Well, look, you went all in for your guy. If I was athletic director, first of all, I'd be dressed a lot better than I am now.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. But if
suits?
I'm not saying that. I probably wouldn't be wearing shorts. But I probably wouldn't be up yet. Well, maybe I would. Anyway, I would have had my list, and I would have been calling up.
Checked it twice.
That's right. And I would have called up Chris Beard, and when that didn't work out, I would have looked at the next guy on my list, which would be Brad Underwood. And
I think his buyout
and I would
ridiculous.
Look and see if it's feasible. If it's not, then the next thing, I go to my next guy on the list, which for me,
McCaskill,
would be McDermott at Creighton.
He's like 100.
And he's 60 years old.
Okay. Oh, he's a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, he's 60. You still got a lot of life in you when you get to 60 and plus. Uh-huh. And then the next guy on my list might be McCaslin. It might be.
I think McCaslin would be above Beard or right after Beard.
Okay.
That's where it would be for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
You have your own list, though.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. I'm just saying if it was me, and I think that's what you do. You have a list. Bill Byrne once told me, "Hey, I got a list. I got a list for every sport that we play. I got a list of potential head coaches."
I had heard going back to the middle of the year that some things had happened within Buzz's relationships in the athletic department. And I'm nothing like nefarious, right? Like Buzz wanted an extension, more money along those lines, didn't get it. And it was very real that he was going to be going somewhere else. When they were, top 10 in the country, prior to DeVries kind of being locked in at Indiana, which obviously we know now happened a lot earlier than anyone knew, that was the move for Indiana. Was they were really locked in on Buzz as one of their kind of top candidates, and Buzz wanted that job. And then, they hit a skid. Things are going a little bit differently, and DeVries gets locked in at West Virginia, and Buzz is, looking for another gig. So, yeah, I had heard that Buzz was in the mix somewhere else for a while. Listen, like 8 seniors, you lose 8 seniors, people are starting to talk about your NCAA tournament, success. I've said this all along, like Buzz hasn't stayed anywhere long, right? 6 years is kind of his mark. And, there he goes where there's smoke, there's fire on that stuff. And I just think, it was going back, it was a great hire. And now, we need another really good one, and it's blowing up. And, who to really trust with information, I don't know. Too many sources means too many people know. Too many sources means too many people know something. And, so today we're sitting here like, are we going to have a head coach by the end of the weekend so we can start working in the portal?
There's a lot of stuff that's gone on with this baseball season that you could have never, ever convinced me or Scott or Richard of in January. There's a lot of stuff. The number one thing is I can't believe that we were doing our preseason prognostications and looking at the schedule. this was going to be the series. It's a rematch of last year's College World Series final. You're probably going to have, it's going to be a top 5 matchup. A new head coach in Mike Early going and taking on Tony Vitello, who had a similar start when he got the job at Tennessee. And it was all the storylines were going to be embedded on both sides as a premier matchup in college baseball. It's one of the reasons that 2 of the 3 games are on national networks. They're going to be broadcast on regular TV. But here we are, and A&M is very much limping into a series that they have got to have. I don't know how you – hope is one thing, and I think if you look at hoping to win the series – even for this A&M team, David, we've talked about this during the week. Like, I think the focus has got to narrow even more than this weekend. Like, the focus has just got to be on tonight. And I think that helps the team overall not look at this giant mountain they have to climb, but I also think it helps their mentality within the game of baseball. Because if you start worrying about the past or looking at the future in this game, it can really, really eat you up. You've got a little bit more wiggle room and leeway to look at the future if you're going like Tennessee. If you're going like A&M, it's got to be this pitch in this moment and move on to the next one.
I love what he said about focusing on tonight, because, and especially when your guy is going for you tonight. Ryan Brauninger, obviously, last weekend, not a great start, but every time Ryan Brauninger has the ball in his hand, I have confidence that A&M is going to have a chance to win the ball game, regardless if they're going the way they are now or if they were playing like they were last year.
Scotty, the fact that this is against the team that beat you in the College World Series final, the fact that it was supposed to be all the things that Bronny talked about, and it's not. What do you think the players that played in that game and played in that series, like, can they be singularly focused on just tonight? Can they be thinking about what happened then? Like, what do you think is going through their heads?
I don't think they're thinking about last year at all. I think they understand how good Tennessee is.
They better not be thinking about last year.
Yeah.
Potential candidates that maybe we haven't discussed on the show yet, because a lot of the names that we've heard, I think, have been out there for a little bit. Are there some new ones that maybe we can touch on?
I hate when you do this because I don't want.
You alluded to it.
I don't want to answer with a nothing.
Okay.
I'll tell you. Here's what I think, and I'm going to write this in a minute. I think this is actually. So, I think you had A&M the run at Chris Beard. That was always going to be the first thing, and you've heard enough to know that people saying this, myself included, no one was wrong. No one was exaggerating how close it was. No, the only people that were wrong were anyone that said it was a done deal, which some dumbasses said, and it wasn't true. And they'll just keep saying it because they're burners that just keep going for the engagement. There's been a couple people on this thing that have been so wildly off base. It's insane. Half my work, I feel like, is going on TexAgs and saying, that's not true, that's not true. Got to keep checking. Okay. You always check the phone when you look and you miss like 6 text messages. No, that was from Dalton. To me, you went after Beard, it got to the finish line. Like, it was as close to being done as can be. Like, they thought they could get him. No one ever said they would that I talked to. No one said it was done. No one said this is happening. But there was certainly optimism growing significantly going into that, final night. And I think, and from talking to people a little more, and I've got, as a lot of people, even probably some listeners and a lot of people on the boards as evidence knew, there's a lot of people with connections really close to Chris Beard in the state, in Aggieland. I think a lot of that had to do with the roster. And it's a real freaking problem right now. And you can say whatever nice things you want about Buzz, and I like Buzz Williams, but you can also say he left Texas A&M in a god-awful spot.
Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.